Elon Musk has big plans for Tesla, and his plans on what Tesla and his other companies will achieve are far beyond most imaginations. He made a number of posts on X that outline his big ideas. First, Tesla AI engineer Yuntad Tsai pointed out Tesla is a $1.4 trillion AI company. It has positive net income, multiple gigafactories in the US, in-house chip design team, and the largest computing clusters. While so many still think BYD, Toyota, and Xiaomi can do all of this also, there's a list of over 10 things these companies cannot do. Elon pointed out that AI needs robots to be the economy. He also outlined how Starship can deliver 100 terawatts per year by building a base on the moon, producing solar-powered AI satellites. In an interview with All In Podcast, he called AI a supersonic tsunami. The outcomes can be either good or bad. For most Tesla investors, we'd much rather Elon Musk be in charge. And today, I'd much rather have Jeff Lutz be in charge today. He's a multi-decade supply chain executive, chief quality officer. He's now CEO of his own supply chain consulting firm. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey, Herbert. Yeah, these are interesting stories to go through.
Yeah, in this one, you actually you had somebody post something saying, "Look, what does Tesla have compared to these other companies?" And you kind of like put him to shame. Appreciate that post. We'll go through that. So first of all, Yuntad Tsai, he is one of the engineers working on Tesla's AI department, division, and robotaxi and bots. And he said this: it is often overlooked that there is a $1.4 trillion AI company with positive net income, operating multi-gigafactories in the US, in-house chip design team, owning one of the largest and densest computing clusters, backed by its batteries, best-in-class AI team, iterating models faster than most frontier labs that has been deployed on actual bots you can buy today, or robots, which is referring to cars you can buy today. Most importantly, it's led by a CEO that is not afraid to answer questions, cares about retail shareholders, and deeply loves this country and humanity. Plus, it has the coolest annual shareholder meeting, and you can vote. So this is, obviously, Elon appreciated this, and he reposted it too. So what thoughts on this post?
Yeah, it's a good summary. I think a lot of people that look at the company or just look at the stock ticker and they try to just put it in a box. And then these analyst firms, like, I'm an auto analyst, so they make cars, so I'm going to analyze it, and then I'm going to block all these, almost like they mentally block all these other things out. And I think, some of it is just like, I don't understand the banking system as well as bankers, but if you understand how products are made and you understand how competitive moats are developed, and you look at what Tesla has done, they've basically vertically integrated engineering and they vertically integrated supply chain. You hear a lot about Apple and other countries vertically integrating X, Y, or Z. And this is true vertical integration at the engineering level, the hardware, the software, even now. And then when you get into manufacturing, their factories aren't just assembly factories. When you go into their factories, there's really complex tooling, machine shops. They really go after this piece of, I can do this. If I can figure out how to engineer and do this better, then I'm going to take out the middleman and not have to pay that margin out. And I'm going to be able to reduce all my cycle time. So it's just a very special company. I say it all the time. Base layer of silicon. They make the base layer of silicon in that computer all the way up to how the car is going to be, the robotaxi is going to be cleaned, and what's the brush head in robotics that they're going to clean the robotaxi, and then how it's charged. And there's the end-to-end details matter. And if you can engineer them, you can get them to a cost point where if you can operationalize that, you can do it at a much lower price point than having to farm all this out and be dependent to be somebody else's priority X, Y, or Z on that day. So I said this a lot. It's the true competitive mode of Tesla is its vertically integrated engineering and supply chain.
Yeah. I think most people today don't think of Tesla as a car company only now. I think that is, we battled that for many years. But I don't know if they've understood yet that what Tesla is, as you just said, is an innovation engine company that happens to be making cars, but now happens to be making AI, making all these other things that they need to, invent the future. And that's what, people still debate. Like here's a funny one, right? This is fun. This guy posted this. Can you name something that Tesla does that BYD or Xiaomi cannot do? This is a favorite by many Tesla doubters and skeptics. They'll say, hey, look, how could Tesla be a $1 trillion? First of all, this is a wrong chart. James Stevenson was so pissed off about it. It's not a $1 trillion company. It's a 1.4, $1.5 trillion company. And if you do put it in scale, it's much larger than the others. Toyota's 228 billion, Xiaomi's 192, BYD's 141, and so forth. And it's like combined value of these next auto companies, this is 914 billion. So this is a common thing. Now, one thing that I remember I asked, forgetting his name right now, but he said he's an auto executive, and he said alive and dead. And that's why their values are so low.
Nicholas, yeah.
Nicholas. And I'm not sure we can say that they're all dead, right? We're not getting that. But I think the future is not as bright for Tesla, and that's why they're valued this way. Okay, but still, good point.
Future is
why?
bright, yeah. Yeah.
Why is he compared as an automaker? And then you kind of replied to this guy and you said this, well, okay, because he goes, can you name something that Tesla does that BYD cannot do? And you said, okay, easy. Okay, what Tesla can do that the others can't, make an EV profitably. Make the number one selling EV in their home turf, China and the world. Full self-driving, of course. Robotaxi service. Optimus. Xiaomi cannot do Tesla Energy or Autobidder. They can't build and operate their own AI training clusters. Again, it's like, come on, man. Do you have a supercomputer? You know, they don't design their own inference chips, and soon dual purpose inference and training. They don't deploy their largest global EV charging network. They build and ship in the US. I'm sure you could have gone going, but you stopped at 10. That was a great remark.
Yeah, I mean, it took literally a minute. And that's actually the alpha if you're a Tesla investor, is that that's mainstream thinking. Now, there's a lot of Tesla retail shareholders that don't agree, and they bought the stock and they own it, and it's got a great retail shareholder base. But when you have this mainstream thinking out there, that's what you get. And when you have a kind of a compliance, I don't think they're necessarily like working together, but there's definitely this compliance of wanting to like elevate China EV for some reason. It's almost like to spite Tesla because we don't like Elon, but this media trying to elevate China EV, and now they've memory hold. You don't hear anything about what's happening with BYD right now, which they're in a world of hurt, negative cash, burning billions of dollars of cash per quarter. For what AI training cluster are they investing in? What automation are they investing in? It's not clear. What is clear was that was a bubble forming in terms of their ability. It seems like as soon as they had to start paying suppliers, their cash evaporated. It's just memory hold. You don't even hear about it. So when I saw this chart, like, what can Tesla do? That, I mean, it's easy. I can probably name 10 other things, but those are probably the more important items. But I honestly think that is that post from that person, that is whether they're kidding or not, engagement farming or not, it's fine. But that is actually mainstream thinking.
It is mainstream thinking. With BYD, for example, last year, so everybody pointed to BYD. Again, we both agree that they're a big company, they're an important company, they'll survive, they're too big to fail, China, and they've done incredibly well, conquering not only China, but going into Europe and the world. But you started pointing out, well, there's, you dug deep into their financials, and there's something about their supply chain and inventory and all these things, and you said, something's upcoming here, and that's exactly what happened this year. But all the people who wrote incredible stories about a BYD is going to just wipe Tesla off the map, they're not talking this year when they're saying, hey, BYD has serious problems, debt, supply, everything is just, quarter by quarter, they seem to be showing financial distress. But again, they will survive. Nobody's saying that they're dying or anything like that, but come on.
No.
Realize we're there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Some people say too big to fail, but it could also collapse like a house of cards, right? That's right. Toyota and Xiaomi as well. So I guess where I'm the other thing is not just here's what Tesla is here and here's what these other companies, but Tesla has big, giant plans. They have strategic plans of where they're going to go. And we're going to talk about that now. Elon spent a lot of time this weekend kind of articulated where he sees Tesla's going to go to. And in order to get there, they're striking big deals. And some important information came out this weekend to accommodate Tesla's additional consignment order for the AI5 chips. Remember, Elon said at the earnings call, he said that they're now partnered with both Samsung and TSMC, because they want as many AI5 chips as any of these guys can make. We'll buy them all. We'll use it for our bots and the cars. And if we run out of those things, we'll just use it for data centers. We can use as many as you can build. So Samsung is speeding up the timeline for its fab in Texas, Taylor Fab, now planning to begin operations in the third quarter of 2026 instead of late last year. So that's the power of Elon, right? And the power of Tesla. When they've got this roadmap, these guys are confident to throw more money to get it done faster, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tesla had to dual source there. They made a decision, and I think Elon introduced it properly, which is Samsung is a great partner and they are a great supplier. But it looks like what Tesla sees is they see the demand being so strong for the products that they're building that they want this redundancy between suppliers. And so I think it's about supply, actually. I don't actually think it's about cost. But the derivative effects of having the best thing you can do for cost is to have two suppliers
Volume
for your part.
Oh,
and it's very difficult to dual source your SoC. This is a system on chip. This is a very difficult thing to actually dual source. So it's going to take a fair amount of effort on the Tesla side, and it's going to take a fair amount of effort for both of these companies to figure it out. It does. This has happened before. This has been done before, especially as things go just rampant in volume. But it's not easy to do. But I see what Tesla's trying to do, trying to get supplier redundancy and probably some geographic redundancy as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a complete Taiwan and Korea operation as well for AI5 as there is an America operation.
Hey, you're predicting the future again. We'll see when that happens. That announcement will happen. And volume, you've talked about this too. And just if the beautiful thing that Tesla can do, no one else can do, is they can put the same chip in their cars, but also their bots, humanoid bots, and also their data centers. So who else can do something like that and therefore order bajillion chips, GPUs, and then lower the volume, right? That's crazy.
No, but I think there's something we're missing in retail, and I think maybe all of the analysts too. Here's all I'm saying. You don't make, so AI5 is probably going to live for, it looks like Tesla wants to do more follow-ups in rapid succession, maybe get them on a 12 or 18 month turnover, AI6, AI7, and so forth. You don't make this kind of decision. I mean, there's a lot of capacity. There's three things going on. You either are concerned about the difficulty of your chip and you want somebody else there to build it because you're concerned about how it's going to yield out and the difficulty of it. What coincides with that is cost and supply. But the other side of this could be that Tesla sees a demand lever coming that conventional people, it's not on this 2.5 million, 3 million cars, 100,000 bots kind of thing, that they see some sort of inflection point where they want this production capacity and capability available to deal with, whether it's some sort of big pricing move or some sort of, not so much, we've talked about this, maybe they change the way that they sell vehicles to people, that it turns into a monthly plan, something that drives some sort of massive inflection point with demand, because this is a very big move to not only to dual source AI5. I know we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but it's coming up here. And now Samsung is trying to pull in their launch. To me, that is foreshadowing that they believe that there could be a very big move coming in demand. And I'm wondering if they're going to change their pricing model for how they sell vehicles.
Another thing that Samsung did, this is again, just beautiful. I know you can speak to this, Jeff, how Samsung's providing the chips and GPUs, the chips, But guess what? Samsung is also a battery company. And because they have this broad partnership with Tesla, and Tesla is also a battery company, Samsung SDI will provide Tesla with batteries for ESS, energy stationary storage, at 10 gigawatt hours per year. Samsung SDI will convert some of its LFP battery factory lines, which were jointly established with Stellantis in the US and Indiana, for ESS and provide them locally. Can you explain this, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, Tesla has two Megapack operations, and now they have Megapack and Mega Block in the US. And then, of course, they have the Shanghai operation, which is being fed by CATL and I think BYD. But in the US, Tesla's between Houston and Lathrop, they're ramping 90 gigawatt hours of capacity. And the Tesla LFP site is somewhere on the order of 10 to 12 for cells that would feed these Megapack sites. And then the LG announcement was 10. And then this is another 10. They got to keep going because right now they're buying LFP cells from China, and that tariff is in the 47 to 52% range. There's a separate Section 301 tariff on lithium ion and LFP on unfinished cells as well, and the raw materials. And we don't know where that's going with this new China trade announcement. It could come down to something closer to 27%, but there's also there's another trigger that comes in that would take it up, I think, to 63%. But it looks like in some of the verbiage of the new China trade deal announced a couple of days ago, it looks like they may extend the schedule for implementing new Section 301 escalations. So if that's the case, it won't go up, and it's going to be somewhere between 27 to 47% to import LFP cells. So now there's a decent.
Yeah.
Well, it's not fine. I mean, as long as there's an oversupply of LFP in China, the market pricing is going to be good, and yeah, it may be fine. But if supply becomes constrained, this will become a problem for Tesla Megapack in pricing. So I think they brought in a ton of inventory. I think they've burned through a lot of that, to be honest with you. And now they've got to solve for it. So these sites are going to take time to come up. Just because Tesla has their own LFP facility starting in Q1, it doesn't mean it's going to push out 10 gigawatt or to push out 2.5 gigawatt hours in that first quarter. It's going to take them a full year, I think, to get that to rated speed. These factories don't come up on a dime. So 2026 is going to be interesting. My money is on Tesla figuring this out. Economically, I think they have pricing power too with Megapack because they are so far ahead in terms of capacity. And it looks like the AI data center, this hockey stick of all these data center announcements, boom, 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 14 of them. I think there's 14 1 gigawatt data center announcements in the US. And Tesla has shown with Colossus that you need, like, these Megapacks serve a significant purpose. So
Hundreds.
I mean, between Tesla, I mean, 500 Megapacks at that site. So between Tesla and EOS and Fluence, I mean, there's a couple that are trying to serve this battery storage segment. But just to bring this whole thing around, 10 gigawatt hours with Samsung, great. It looks like they have 80 or more gigawatt hours of production capacity of Megapacks. So they have about 30 of domestic LFP here between all these deals. It's going to take them all year to ramp that up. So they got more work to do to get more battery supply.
I got a stupid question to ask you, Jeff. So obviously, like you said, the earlier thing about Samsung and the chips, you can clearly see Elon, and we'll talk about what he's going to now say about his future, where he's going future. He needs as much energy as needed. He needs as much chips and GPUs to build the largest data centers. And now we're talking about data centers and satellites, maybe the moon, all that kind of stuff. And they need as much Megapacks as they need. Is it possible, and this could be dumb, I have no idea, that Tesla could actually buy EOS products because they can't make themselves and they're different?
Well, okay, so EOS makes a different product. They make a long duration storage product. Tesla is this 2 to 4 hour, whereas EOS is this longer duration product. So, and Tesla is going to make a longer duration product when they get more battery supply and this Houston site comes up, probably starting at the end of next year. Right now, it's an interesting thing. Never say never on anything. EOS has really interesting technology. They have these patents from ExxonMobil for their chemistry. They've improved the chemistry. They've improved this metric, which has been the issue with these iron air batteries, which is called RTE, return trip efficiency, which is how much of the battery can you actually discharge after a full charge cycle. And they've gotten it from basically the 60s to 70% all the way up to 90% in actual field testing of the new factory and the new product that they're building right now. So I think the short answer is you never say never on these things, but I think they're just in two different atmospheres right now. Tesla has 40 gigawatt hours online in the US. EOS has 2, but 2 of long duration storage is different than 40 of short duration storage. It's probably closer to 7 or 8 gigawatt hours if you start equating the two. And then EOS is doubling their capacity in the first half of next year. And they have their earnings this week. I think they're going to announce not only more domestic capacity, this is what I think, it's my opinion, but also it may not be in this announcement, but in the future, I think they're going to announce international expansion as well, because they've got a big deal going with a provider in the UK.
Yep.
So I just never say never, but they're just they're complementary.
Yeah.
But EOS has a ramp. EOS is supply constrained. They've got a significant ramp, but they have unique technology and they're complementary. You can stack these things. The output per acre can be much higher because you can stack these things. They're non-flammable. You don't need all the HVAC equipment, and you don't need all the CapEx involved with that. So I think as you've seen this data center ramp up, I think the next hockey stick is going to be power. And
that's what I'm saying.
You need baseload power generation, and then you need batteries to improve the efficiency and availability of that baseload generation. So I think that's where it comes in.
Yeah, the bigger the plan of how many data centers Tesla Elon wants, they need the batteries, and I think they're gonna lock down with contracts everybody and anybody that's moving in this space. That's why I'm saying that sounds stupid.
I believe so.
You never know. All right.
Yeah.
Peter Diamandis said AI is no longer a sector. It is the economy. Okay, so just think about that for a second. This thing about AI is a sector. Oh, watch what's happening with the sector. No, it is the economy. Elon replied to him, said AI needs robots to be the economy, both cars and robots. And guess who's doing that? So that's just to reset people thinking, oh, Tesla's an AI company. Yes, they're going to be one of the Mag 7s. No, Tesla's a robot company that is going to redefine the entire economy. And then this
That's important.
Elon,
I want to just touch on that. AI
please.
has produced chatbots, and Tesla AI has produced a physical real world product you can buy. And that distinction, you can buy these chat services too, and you can get expanded services and research and so forth. There's value to it. There's code generation. There's no question that there's value to it. But for it to be a lot of this has been a front run, and it's helped our economy. It's in some estimates, it's 40% of our GDP. By the way, no wonder why you see the president is so incredibly nice to Jensen Huang. And by the way, Jensen Huang deserves it, if anything. Mm-hmm. But you saw the fiery rhetoric about semiconductors. And if you're not building it here, I'm going to put all these tariffs on and blah, blah, blah. And the reality of it is 99.9% of what NVIDIA makes from a silicon perspective is made in Taiwan. But what NVIDIA has done a very good job in, Jensen, of threading this needle of we're bringing up this capacity in the U.S., we're bringing up this data center construction in the U.S. with our partners, and we're really establishing a real U.S. supply chain. And he's really threaded that needle well, because if you start putting 20-30% tariffs on these GPUs coming into the U.S., it would have been a complete and total disaster for some short-term sugar high for the administration. They would have gotten tremendous, by the way, tariff income off of doing this. So I think Jensen's really threaded a needle, and I think the presidential administration realizes how much of our economy is actually AI, both internal domestic GDP and what we're going to be able to export as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation on that one. China opening up now for NVIDIA to supply them. It's all good. It's good news for Tesla too, by the way, because Tesla makes their own GPUs and eventually they'll use it all, everything that they create, but they might sell it at some point in the future. This is another post that Elon made yesterday. He said Starship could deliver 100 gigawatts per year to high Earth orbit within 4 to 5 years if we can solve the other parts of the equation. 100 terawatts per year is possible from a lunar base, a moon, producing solar-powered AI satellites locally and accelerating them to escape velocity with a mass driver. I don't know. This is getting very complicated. But he's talking about delivering 100 gigawatts per year, so some sort of energy generation, right, to high Earth orbit within 4 to 5 years.
I don't have the context around this post. There would be local energy generation through solar, obviously, with some of these things that are being discussed with the satellites and with a lunar station. He's also even talked about mining quantum in the caverns or cavities of the moon. All these different things are being discussed. I think it's great to have this like outward long-term portfolio about how things may need to, but also just have this kind of this near-term execution in focus. So we'll see. I mean, this is what keeps things extremely interesting. We don't want to be bound by anything, and we want to make sure. But I actually think the AI community is really concerned about stable power generation and availability. I think it's a big concern. There was a podcast over the weekend with Satya Nadella basically saying there's this big thing that's happening right now, which is like trying to compare what's happening now to the dot-com bubble with Cisco. And the kind of the big statement out there is there are no dark GPUs, quote unquote dark GPUs, meaning all these GPUs that are being procured and they're not being put into service because there's not demand for them and people are just stashing them. That's not happening. But what Satya said, and there's probably are many cases of this, it's not that there's not demand to install and light up those GPUs, there isn't power. So this is an urgent thing to solve. Again, baseload power generation, gas turbines, you name it, whatever's going to generate the power, and then batteries to process that power, to smooth it out, to also improve the efficiency and availability of it. That whole thing needs to go up its own hockey stick. So you see the feverish announcements from Tesla and adding this US based capacity, boom, Houston Megapack, boom, new Mega Block product, boom. You see EOS now expanding their capacity, got a brand new facility ordered. They have local investment. You're going to see, I think, a tremendous hockey stick now happening with stationary storage and baseload generation, power generation in the US.
And Elon's vision here is solar-powered AI satellites. So these are satellites orbiting maybe the moon, and then it's AI data centers in space, basically, and then powered by solar. But then it's incredible what he's thinking. And this guy, Ryan McIntosh, said, as game-changing as Starship is, we're all probably still underestimating it. Elon's essentially describing a space civilization with power and intelligence capacity far exceeding Earth's within our lifetimes. A lunar base building 100 terawatts of satellites implies some level of space mining. Even if Earth launch remains cheaper for a while, that much power in orbit would probably also be moved around via beaming. Terrestrial and interstellar travel applications are obvious. I mean, this is too big of thinking. It also means Elon is probably von Neumann-pilled, AI-driven, power-hungry satellites spreading outward on lasers and self-application. Their TAM is literally the limits of sci-fi. Okay. Elon actually replied to them, says, if AI continues advancing at even a reduced rate, this is where it ends up.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. And it continues on saying, each Starlink, simply scaling up Starlink version 3 satellites, which have high-speed laser links, would work. SpaceX will be doing this. Scaling up Starlink V3 satellites, these satellites that Starlink has, with high-speed laser links connected together will do that. Each Starlink appears to have 100 kilowatt. Because by the way, he said this already. Each Starlink that's already orbiting the Earth now to provide internet access, they are solar paneled. They have solar energy, self-powered, 100 kilowatts of solar. Starship should carry 50 to 100 per flight, call it 6 megawatts per launch at 60 satellites, 3 gigawatts of orbital solar in total. I mean, it's just, again, they've got power already being done. If Starship hits even conservative projected launch rates, they'd be able to launch a nuclear reactor worth of power capacity per year by the end of the decade.
Yeah, I mean, the announcements, I mean, if you see the announcements that are happening on the data center side, and just so all the hyperscalers went through their earnings in the past week, they all reiterated or increased their capacity for the coming year. So we approach all these quarterly earnings announcements, and everybody's kind of on edge of like, is somebody going to crack? Is somebody going to crack? And the reality is, if you listen to these CEOs, they're basically saying, look, I'd rather overspend or misspend by $100 billion versus miss this opportunity. Zuckerberg's on record saying that. Larry Page is on record saying that. And they're not going to miss this opportunity. And it's gonna bend and curve and shift in many different forms. You're going to see different people jump in and take the lead, but we're still at the beginnings of this. We haven't made a fundamental medical breakthrough yet with AI, but when that starts happening, there's going to be a flood of demand to want to push more capacity behind that to solve that. There still aren't fundamental physics breakthroughs yet, but these things are coming. And like I've said this before on your show, Herbert, we haven't even scratched the surface of what AI can do in manufacturing and supply chain. But yeah. There's a lot of work that's happening in this space, but it's not out there. It's not implemented yet. And all these use cases need GPUs. All these GPUs need power and batteries. And we need to figure out how to generate all this. And if you look at our rate of generation of power over the last year in the U.S. versus China, I mean, we have to get serious. We have to figure this out. It's not. There's a saying out there now that electrons are the new oil, and I think you're just going to be hearing a whole lot more about power in the very near future.
Thank goodness for Elon. I'm going to do a show tomorrow about this, but I'll bring it up with you because I'm curious, because you brought it up. Brad Kirshner interviewed Sam Altman of OpenAI and Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, this weekend. And he pissed off Sam Altman because Brad asked them a very simple question, which is, if you plan to build a $1.4, $1.5 trillion data center, which is what they're talking about, what revenue are you going to do to support that? Because there is no revenue plan. As opposed to Elon, he can talk this big. He can say, I'm going to create I'm going to invest $1 trillion. He hasn't said it, but let's say he does. I'm going to put $1 trillion. Well, I've got robots, I've got cars, I've got AI data centers that I build myself that I can rent out, blah, 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 blah. I've got these solar panel. I'm going to put a mining facility in the moon. He's got all sorts of business models already figured out. And that's the difference. Tesla has business models to pay for the build out of this AI.
They have proven execution. There's a lot of companies that think they're going to build a humanoid robot at scale. And
OpenAI is one. They've announced it, but they have zero experience, zero assets.
And they've hired a lot of people too. And I'm not going to pick on OpenAI, or just in general. The kind of execution that's going to be needed, and the kind of innovation that's going to be needed to build these AI, physical, real-world AI devices, there's an excruciating amount of detail and execution that's coming. And just because you pull all these people from different companies and say, I'm going to mash them together and they're going to figure it out, that's not always the case. And go back to this comment of this vertical integration and the importance of it. I'm not saying that there will never be another Tesla and there'll never be another company like it, but it is darn difficult to be able to recreate all the different aspects of this business, how it's run, its culture. It's very difficult to do that. It's not impossible, but to think that this whole general thinking of, well, Sam said this, and this person, like everybody can just do it. That is where I think that a lot of people get tripped up. That is not the case. Everybody cannot just do it. That's why there was one iPhone. Okay. Even though if you look at the if you look at the billion plus smartphones that are sold per year, there's only about 200 million plus iPhones in the 1.3 billion smartphones sold. But if you look at the margins, if you look at the dollars made, it's all there. And then, plus some Samsung and a few others. So anyway, it's interesting thinking. So yeah, there's a big, the .com piece and where we are today, again, there was probably, I have some of the numbers in my notes, but the amount of fiber that was laid by these companies, Global Crossing and so forth, for the internet, that was just dark and not lit up for this pending, this is coming, it's going to be great. There's a big difference between that, the earnings of those companies that were laying the fiber, and the earnings of these mega cap hyperscalers today. They have real earnings. They have real cash. And so far, the usage scenario, the utilization scenario of these GPUs is not on par. It's way, way, way further ahead and not an issue versus what was happening with fiber and Cisco and Global Crossing and all these different companies in the .com area. But it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
I sometimes wonder if Elon knew where we're going to be 10 years ago. And I think he did. But, just put yourself back to where. No, I know. But it's like just everything. Start with step one, right? He goes, okay, I'm going to create an EV company. Then he goes, oh, okay, of course I need superchargers. That makes sense. It's easy, straightforward. He does that. Then he goes, oh, I need to have an energy division. And I'm going to start making mega packs. Or I need my own batteries just in case I need my batteries. Makes sense. It's EV. But then now these batteries are important for AI. Then he does the AI, open AI. And now these AI data centers need the batteries and needs the AI. He's actually creating the AI for the autonomous, like everything he's doing is like needed for where we're at today, AI data centers. It's going to be needed for Mars, all this. He things he decided on 10 years ago. And I think that what he's talking about today, just wait 10 years from now. It's bigger than we are all imagining.
There has never been a visionary CEO coupled with this kind of execution ever. So people are like, where's my self-driving? You promised it like on this month. And if we were going to have the Cybertruck release coming, and that's not how these things work.
We're going to have a flying car though, Jeff.
When you're that comment that,
where's my, you promised me flying cars. Sorry.
Yeah. You have to be able to kind of blend if he was doing all known predictable things, you should hold him like to the minute of a schedule. But when he says like 90% of what I'm going to do has never been done before at the way I'm doing it, at the scale I'm going to do it, you got to have a little bit of leeway on this stuff. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah. There's never been this combination of visionary CEO and execution coupled together. And so enjoy it. The time you're living in, enjoy it. Yeah. It's pushing everybody else. There's other great CEOs out there, and there's other great things happening. I think Jensen Huang is a great CEO too. And what's happening in AI and what's happening with physical real world products is really the function of a couple of, it's a handful of companies. And that's, by the way, it's one of the reasons these handful of companies are so much of the S&P. It's people want to complain about it, but they're generating real value.
Thank you so much, Jeff. That was a lot of fun. Yep. Very important. This is what Elon's doing. And you described Tesla very well. We covered that at the beginning. Follow Jeff on his X account at the Jeff Lutz. Subscribe to him there as well, please. And you'll see a lot of this very good information he shared. Things like he was ahead with BYD. He was ahead with what to expect with Tesla cars, but also now he's diving deep in batteries and AI. Thank you so much. And bots, by the way. Bot manufacturing is where we're going to lean on you next. Thank you, Jeff. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.